Welcome, brothers. Welcome, sisters. Welcome to our program On Target. And as usual, as soon as we start this program, you can pick up the telephone and give us a call. We never have a subject matter. We speak about anything: politics, religion, socioeconomic issues, issues trending, or any topical issue of the day. We speak about it. So you could pick up your telephone and give us a call. The number to call is 442-0175. We're on RealFM 91.9. We're on Facebook and YouTube. And our brothers and sisters from the diaspora and anyone having the opportunity to listen to us, because the world is a smaller place because of telecommunication and social media, you're welcome. I have been attracted to a number of colleagues of mine normally send me posts, I guess because of the On Target program, and they know that some of the topics that I speak on. So this post is, one of them read, "A teacher's life would be easier if parents put the same effort for prom and graduation into schoolwork." It's a couple of them. Each of them seems to be blaming parents for the poor performance of their children in school. I happen to also research some of the people who send the posts, and I know they themselves are educators. And I think it's sad. It's very sad and unfortunate, and I would describe it as very unfair for individuals to blame parents for the poor performance of their children in school. I think it's rather unfair. Some children are orphans. They don't have parents. Some children, parents are incapacitated. They're not even able to take care of the children. Some children have parents that in and out of hospitals, including mental institutes. Some children have parents that in prison. And some children, parents are living on the street. They fall in the group of destitute poor. Yet, we have an institution, and I would dare say the majority of people involved in the education system are blaming parents for the poor performance of their children. Some parents don't even care about education. This is why government make education mandatory. Formal education. Not education, but formal education. So a child, you must send a child to school by the age 5. That is the requirement of the government. When the child is 5 years old, they have to go to school. But children go to school as early as 2.5. It was Eric Gary in Grenada that created pre-primary school. I think that's what you call kindergarten in the United States and other countries. The name is also very popular here now. Pre-education, 2.5. And government have a program where some people visit children between 6 months and 2.5 years to help them. Some people believe that they help to stimulate the brain, stimulate activities, and help to guide parents. Because people realize education is necessary. For the majority of teachers, and I'm saying now the majority, based upon my unscientific research, advance the view that parents are to blame for the poor performance in school, I believe is unacceptable and it's unfair. And this is some of the reasons that I advance. The majority of parents in Grenada, the majority of households are led by single parent, working mothers, maybe leave home in the morning just around the time the child leaves to go to school and come back way after the child leaves go to school. And fighting to eke out a living. Because if you are owning $1,000 or less in Grenada, you are practically considered as destitute poor. You don't have to believe me, I may not be correct. Check the statistic division. If your income, the income you bring in, if you are a single mother, if you are a single head of a household, and the total income that comes to that household is less than $1,000, you are practically considered as destitute poor. We have an education system today in our society where the teachers or the educators are better paid than any other time in our history. They are better educated than any other time in our history. They are better trained than any other time in our history. The quality of the school buildings, the infrastructure is better than any other time in our history. And the necessary aid, assistance, backup support, whatever name you want to call it, is better than any other time in our history. Yet, there seems to be a readiness to create a subterfuge, an excuse for the poor performance in the school by blaming the parents. And I think that is grossly unfair. It makes one wonder if the time has not arrived that we should be tying productivity with the kind of rewards you get in school. If 70% of the children that exit school cannot meet the minimum requirements, the basic minimum requirement, and only 15 to 20% is performing satisfactorily, and you are blaming the parents, something is wrong. So I say to people, when I speak, I don't want you to readily believe what I say. There are so much people on the media distorting the truth, disinformation and propaganda, that I don't want you to readily believe me. I want you to do a little research. Remember, when you research, you're not researching to get a thesis or to create a position paper or to go and give a lecture. You are researching to have the courage of your own conviction to speak. Look in your communities. Observe the children that are doing well in your communities. And you're going to see, in the majority of instances, they have parental support. Now, if that is so, it means that our system hatch onto success stories. but they don't produce success story. It means that the management of the education system and the educators themselves have a serious mental challenge, and they are not doing a good job. Now, I said perhaps in other programs before, if you're making furnitures and 70% of the furnitures you make is not easily marketable, then you're not a good furniture maker. If you're making cell phone, and out of every 100 cell phone you make, 69 have to go in the garbage. It's not satisfactory. Giving trouble. You're not a good cell phone maker. Now, if you're teaching maths in school, government pay you to teach maths. You consider yourself as a mathematician. And out of every 100 children you teach, only 20 or sometimes 15 pass in maths. You're not a good maths teacher. I have been lobbying for the long while for parents to get hungry for education. But it's difficult. It's difficult to accept educators blaming parents for the poor performance in school. The poor performance in school is directly related to the mentality of our educators. Deep down, they want few children to pass. Our children are profiled, and they are not given the assistance that is necessary for them to be successful in school. And we're finding excuses. And over the past 15 years, I've been following our educators in Grenada, in other Caribbean countries. And they are not doing justice to the school system. They find a cheap excuse to blame parents. And I believe the parents have to pick up the challenge, become hungry for education, and help your children. It's unfortunate and hard and sad. But you have to prepare to challenge the status quo that is helping to keep your children out, prevent them from being competitive on the job market. Because that is what is being done. If your child go through the school system and they cannot meet the basic requirement, they are less likely to be competitive on the job market. The situation is getting worse in Grenada. It's getting worse. The educators are becoming more bold and more brazen in blaming the parents. And I am appealing to parents to do more, because it is your child. There are some people in Grenada that have it well locked down, and they don't care whether your child succeed or fail. And today in Grenada, we have a government in power that has removed money from disadvantaged children. The government seems to be very hostile towards people in the lower income group. It is a sad situation. In my investigation, I've not found any government in the OECS or the Caribbean that is like that. And the government have a history of doing that. And this impacts directly on children's education. It creates a mentality that some teachers believe you would not succeed. And they are not wasting the time with you. Your children are being profiled from day one. And they are not making any effort to help them. If your child happens to be intelligent, if your child happens to be able to satisfy the teacher's perception of intelligence, then they will help them. But if not, from day one, that child is stamped for failure. They pay not attention to them. You, the parents, are used. You are the ones that are raising funds in the school. You are the ones that are giving the support in the school, but your child is not doing well. And sometimes I believe that we need to zero in what is our objective. Always remember that when you send your child in school, one of the objectives is to make certain that your child do the best they could. But if the school system is hostile towards your children, they may not do as good as they could. Now, there are some parents who understand that, and their children go to school only for socialization's sake. They're able to provide the necessary basic education only. If they don't have the time, they have enough money to employ people. But if you do not have the time, and you do not have the money to employ the teacher to help your child, and you are not hungry for education, your child will be left behind. And they will be the people who do not have permanent jobs. They'll fall in the lower income group. And every now and then, you're going to find a government that is like pathogenic parasites that scavenge on the elderly, the weak, and disadvantaged children, like we have today. This government today, in my mind, is the worst government in my lifetime. I don't bother to pay attention much to what a particular individual does. But I look at the policy of the government and the history of the government. Every time this government come into power, immediately they take actions that have negative consequences for the elderly, the physically challenged, and disadvantaged children. The government always acts in a negative way for people in the lower income bracket. And the policy favors people in the higher income bracket. Go back and remember what the government did in 1990. Study what the government did in 2008, I think, to the 2013 period. The government themselves apologized to a group of workers. They say our policy against you was not good. They say it was not good politics. And they made promises. Very, very good promise. I don't blame anybody for swallowing the promise. Because you see, we must pay attention to history. Not the history they're teaching in school. That don't good. Not the history they're teaching in school. We're wasting time with that history. We must listen to the history by our parents. The village history. We must know that. We would have known that the policy of the government historically is hostile to people in the lower income group. So now with that environment, more and more of our educators are blaming parents. They are not saying we are not productive. They are blaming parents. You send dumb children in the school. Your children head hard like rock. Your children cannot learn. And you, the people outside there, start to believe that. They say to send your children to do technical education. Well, if you cannot do maths and you're not successful in English language and you don't know about computer science, how far will you reach in technical education? Today, some people that was mechanic, they have to leave mechanic and go and sell snow ice or conduct. Because the vehicles today is different. You have to be able to know about computer and technology. They are computerized. And if you're not able to do English language and you're not computer savvy, it is a challenge for you. The NIS, the National Insurance Scheme, is taking advantage on people in the lower income group that is not technologically savvy. And some of these people just quiet because there is no voice to defend them. The National Insurance Scheme, NIS, they are taking advantage on people in the lower income group. So we have an education system that is like a selection system, very selective. About 15 to 20% Grenadians that are doing well in it. The majority of people that supports the school, their children are not doing well in the school. But the school blames them. The teachers are paid to teach full time. Some of them have doctorates, master's degree. They have been sent to other countries to get training. They're well qualified, but they are unproductive. Or maybe we should say they're not as productive as they could be. Because if only 30% of the children that exit school are prepared for the job market, then something is definitely wrong. Something is wrong. And you can give me a call, you speak about that subject matter, but you could give me a call on anything. Now we have to wake up in this country. The present government does not help the people in the lower income group. And as a result of that, because they entrench their policies, it has a multiplying effect. So you would see the performance in schools would deteriorate. The treatment of people in the lower income group will be more hostile. Remember, the government provided, yes, scholar, welcome.
Good afternoon, Mr. Pierre.
Yes,
how are you?
Scholar, welcome. Great, man.
Good to hear you.
Yes, my brother.
Mr. Pierre, listen. Teachers, lawyers, and police officers, the three most disrespectful groups, I told you that on diverse occasions. With the teachers, remember between 2018 and when they don't want to teach children, work to rule, they're still doing that. It is in their system. They nurse that. They drink the milk. So it's in them. It's not out of them yet. They ain't flush it out yet. So you expect them to change? They cannot change. They cannot change. Wait for the next 5 years, and you're going to see they don't come back, jumping up and whining and getting on in the street lawless. That is one set of people I have no respect for. Teachers, I have no respect for them. I say hello to them. I sit and drink with them. But I have no respect for them. They cannot do better. That is how they are. I don't care how educated they are. All of us educated same way. They might make $1 more than me. But I don't care about them and the qualification. Have a good day.
Yes, scholar. I always believe that we should respect one another. And I believe they could change. You see, I speak because I believe in 5-10 years, we could change this country around. I believe if parents wake up and start to demand change in the education system, we could change it. I believe if teachers understand that even if their children succeed and my children fail, there is a good chance that them and me have the same grandchild. We live in a small society. And the children that are not doing well and are not competitive, they may still be attracted to your daughters and your son, and they will produce offspring for you. So I believe we have a common cause and a common reason to change the mentality of our people. If we continue like that, in the next 20 years, all of us will be worse off. All of us will be worse off. You have to strive within the next 5 to 10 years to raise the bar, to have more than 50% of the children that you teach maths to pass maths. I appeal to parents, irrespective of all the subjects they're teaching in the school, make certain your child pass mathematics in flying colors, chemistry, physics and biology, English language, French and Spanish, computer science. If you could get your child to pass these subjects, you could say hell was the rest. But you shouldn't say that. Because some children may want subjects for bragging rights. Nothing is wrong in your child doing 25 subjects. Nothing is wrong with that. Some children will be able to do it comfortably. But no, you must make certain that your child get these subjects. That is what's going to enable them to enter any university or be versatile and competitive in the job market. You must not let them distract you. And they like to do that. They want you to send your child in technical school that doesn't exist. It was done a long time ago. They want your child not to believe that he could succeed in maths. Parents could change that. It doesn't matter how much education you have. It doesn't matter how much certificate you have. Our problem is a mentality. This present government would not help because they're helping to foster a bigger division among a perceived social class. Some people believe they're smart and bright, and people dumb. So you're going to see more and more individuals abandoning the struggle of the people in the lower income group. Now the government come into power, and immediately the government decide to raise the income that comes to them. The reason given, if they don't, they will be corrupt. Based upon what the Prime Minister say, that is what I interpret. If they don't raise the pay of the politicians, they will be corrupt. But he intends to raise it much more. I think they were looking for 35,000 a month, but they know they can't get it right now, so they might put a 5 or 6 or 4 or 5 or 6 on the pay, hoping before they turn up that they reach that pay. The government attitude is that the coffers of government is the shopping supermarket. So they are making it extremely attractive for the ministers and some of their core supporters. While the language is very dismissive, objectionable, bitter to people in the lower income group in particular. What that does, it causes division. And some people in Grenada believe that I am in a different social class than you. Listen to the teachers' union when they say fools could make money, but it takes wise men to spend it. Who do you think he is referring to as the wise men? Listen to a number of ministers, including my friend Willie. We the good people. All of a sudden now, all Grenadians are good again, you know. It's a particular group that good. And more you see posting on social media coming from the bowels of the union and the education system and teachers, dissing parents, chastising parents, blasting parents for the poor performance of the children. So it is not them anymore. It is not them anymore. I like to look at the policy of the government, the history of the government, some of the common utterances of the ministers, because it appears that within closed door, this is the philosophy, they discuss it, and then it's played out in the community. And this, I believe, is one of the biggest challenges we have in Grenada. Like we're turning the hand of the clock back. It would lead to greater social decadence. It would lead to greater incidents of violence. It would increase predial larceny in this country. And we might have more people on the doorsteps to the prison. when a government comes with that policy, it is an attractive policy. It's an attractive policy for you to say, this is my time now. I get a chance to make a money. I go eat a food now. Hell was them. And you're going to see individuals that was championing the cause of the less fortunate and marginalized, and even shedding tears for them, saying, now is my time, me and my family time. That is what the policies of this present government advocate. That is the rippling effect of that policy is more social problems in the country. As more people in the lower economic group is unemployed, less chances they have for the children to succeed in school. As more of our children unable to pay transport to go to the secondary school because government cut down the money they was getting, less likely are they to pass maths and English language and do well in school. From the time our teachers established work to rule, they decided no more extracurricular activity. So the groups that was in the schools, they considered it as extracurricular activity. So you might have more fights between Kumande and Kongotong. Because the children that go in the school are not socialized together. They are not in any group, no activities. So from school to home. In yesteryear, they might have been in the forage club, the police boys and girl club, the cultural club, the hiking group, the singing group, the choir, the drum corps. They might have gone by the river and cook. But now those activities are absent. So when they meet after school, they're like enemies. And you might have more fights between Tivoli and Ahoma, between Moncton and Maribor and Paraclete and Lafayette. Because although they go to the same schools, there is no common activity among them. And the government come up with a policy. Welcome, caller.
Mr. Pierre, good afternoon.
Yes, caller, welcome.
You don't wake up on the right side this morning.
Of course, I'm on the right side on a topic that I'm concerned about all the time.
Yeah, but that not today on the radio station, you know.
Well, I know this topic, we believe we could change our society if our people start to understand the impact of the children not doing well in school.
Well, you are saying that, not everybody.
Well, that's why I asked them to do the research.
Okay.
Go in your villages and see how much, when last you know of a boy in your community that is successful.
Mr. Pierre, I see you, baby brother, day in the force and everyone taking advantage of him, but I don't hear you coming up on that topic.
Well, he's not a baby brother anymore. And if you know our history, he should not be surprised. And when people is taking advantage of him, he must imagine what happened to the people in the lower income group. He is not in the lower income group. He must imagine what happened to the public workers in grade A and grade B. He must be concerned more now about the women that lost their job and about the children that are disadvantaged that can go to school. Because his children go make children with his children.
All right, Mr. Pierre, let me go up to my another topic.
Yeah.
Mr. Pierre, the program was what go on yesterday is about myself and about me. It's not about nobody, because this Prime Minister does not help nobody, and they're telling them they're going and work for the people. So where they going to get it to give their people?
Well, who is the people? You see, when people speak, you have to start to understand, you know. When they say their people, who they're speaking about?
They're talking about the people who put them in power.
No, they're not speaking about that people.
Okay.
They abandoned these people long.
Okay, and that is what they don't see.
No, you see, when people speak, we must listen to them. When they say good people, well, all Grenadians is good people. So if you say the good people, you have to ask, who is the good people? When you ask about the people, my constituency, you might be speaking about a few people in your constituency.
Yeah.
Because
you see, you go there and talking about me, my husband, and my children, and I'm talking about the people who put me in office to open my mouth.
Yes, but remember, we have to remember, the National Democratic Congress have a policy that is hostile against people in the lower income group, but it's very attractive. Remember, they give concession, tax rebate, or whatever they call it, for people who millions of dollars. So a lot of big businessmen and a lot of big taxpayers get a nice break. Don't you expect them to like the government?
Yes.
Yes.
Number two, Mr. Pierre, I listen that everybody just saying who they thanks, Mr. This, Mr. That, but I don't hear Dr. Mitchell name call.
Well, you don't expect, you've been in the activity held by the sister yesterday?
No.
Oh.
I listening, Mr. Pierre.
Well, yeah, but you don't expect Dr. Kit Mitchell, and the time has come for a lot of supporters of Dr. Mitchell to understand. He's a very polarizing figure. He's the most successful politician in Grenada. Members of the National Democratic Congress would like to see the back of Dr. Mitchell. Don't expect them to say anything good about him. They want to see him out. He's like you have the best batsman in a cricket team. He's a good batsman, he's a good bowler. And when you get him, the whole team jumping up. Dr. Mitchell has intimidated the NDC in the worst way by their losing 15 seats on 3 occasions.
The people are them who sitting there, me and I and my children, if they listen that, they don't count again, they don't see they're not in the bracket, they sit down there and they clapping like it all is well with them.
Yes, but Carla, you must also remember, the government has established a victimization program. So some people may have to hatch on to the government for the economic survival.
Yeah, but Mr. Pierre, if the people who are sitting there with her, some of them lose their job.
They may get it back.
The old people and them lose their money.
Most of them, Carla, most of them that lose their job will get it back now. Because the National Democratic Congress.
You sure?
Well, let's wait and see.
Okay.
You see, you have to understand. The government has introduced a new policy in Grenada.
So the 150 not coming back?
Well, 150, anybody at 150 couldn't be there. They meddle with those people. The government is always, the NDC have always been hostile to the people in that group.
And I need Mr. Bola. Mr. Bola name call. Miss Strout name call. And I need Mr. Bola. You have a lot of little things. Oh, me and Mr. Bola is good friend. And what he say? I want Mr. Bola to come and clear the air. Don't wait. Let they say what he say. Come and clear the air.
You see,
what he tell.
Caller, I did not listen to the program yesterday because yesterday was
You tell me.
Yesterday I was pretty busy. But a number of people send clips to me. And that's one of the challenge that sometimes when you have two political parties That's one of the challenges they have. You know,
But I want
there
to
is not.
tell them.
They,
I
they,
want to tell these people and them. They don't weaken NMP. They strengthen NMP. And it is time for us to put who we have to put there to work together, to work with the people right now. So if they tell themselves they weaken NMP, they strengthen NMP. Mr. Pierre, have a blessed afternoon.
Thank you. Obviously, yes, caller, welcome. Yes, caller, welcome.
Afternoon.
Yeah,
Good
my
afternoon,
brother.
Mr. Pierre. How you doing?
Welcome. Great.
All right. I had a good chance to listen to the Honorable MP yesterday and her meeting, what have you.
Yeah.
And there were a few things that stood out to me. One, that was not a government event. Hence, the Government Information Service should have not been covering that.
Why you say that?
Could say, yeah, it was not.
Why you say that?
It is not a government event.
Yeah, but it
wasn't a government event.
But the government have restorative justice. The government have initiated. You see, that is the point people missing. This government introduced a policy of restorative justice, which is tantamount to political victimization and political vengeance. And this government is advocating to send people when the NNP have their session to see who are the public officers that are there. So, this is the...
I consider them to do as a one government.
Yeah, this is the policy that the NNP is supposed to be fighting. That is the policy. Right. So because of the policy, the government is going to use every arm of the ministry to implement restorative justice.
All right.
Look at what the government doing with the MIT.
Secondly, Mr. Pierre, what I also noticed is the utterances of the Honorable MP. Now, there are certain things that, I mean, freedom of speech is everyone's right. You can do what you want. And then again, there are people that are saying that no one should dictate to anybody what they should do or what they should not do. But do you know, our whole lives, we are directed what to do and what not to do? Even you, Mr. Pierre, you as a guest speaker on this radio station has to abide by certain rules.
Andre bad for rules. Andre don't want people disrespect people on the program radio. And he don't
exactly. So
and he don't want me sing.
Right. So this is my point. This is my point. So even though you're a big man and you have your own identity and you can make your own decision, you will follow the guy's rules.
Yes, you must.
So if the leader of a political party has his rules, it doesn't mean that he dictates your life.
Well,
it's either you follow the rules or you leave.
But you have to understand.
What the honorable, hold on. What the honorable MP is doing, she's trying to rope in everybody into a cocoon that she feels she can control, and that is where the politics get bad. Because listen to me, when the mouthpiece or the mouth organ of the NDC was calling this lady all kind of derogatory names, and the minister, and the other female ministers, and they're still doing it because even the honorable MP knows she has delved into that rabbit hole of calling people faceless monsters, and the people in the crowd is pointing at another MP's name. And that is where the politics get dangerous. This is not normal for Grenada. What is happening in there is not normal. What I saw yesterday, Mr. Pierre, in my humble opinion, was a mental breakdown openly, and that MP needs evaluation because she's crying for help. Those things that I heard yesterday was not normal. And people in the crowd, they praise it, they clap, and then you see certain people that you thought was okay. It's an open event, you can go. You can't tell nobody where to go. You can associate where you want. But to the naysayers, go online and distract this and distract that, and they make it all kind of memes. And Dr. Mitchell this man has been chastised from since day one. He embodied, he backbrought. They chastised all the NMP MPs. What happened in 2013 with the Honorable Peter David and others who left? These people and them was not in office. They was not MPs, NDCIs. Get up in your thick skull. NDC didn't have a government in 2013 after the election. They lost all seats, and there's a reason why they lost all seats. That's when the junior campaign time, these guys come across. They didn't win the seat, and they wasn't in opposition and say, well, okay, I will join this party, and then throwing words. That is where the politics become dangerous. And lastly, I look at the Honorable PM, and looking at this, like when the camera was panning back and forth, I was watching his face based on what the Honorable MP was saying. And his face was not at all too pleased about some of the things he was hearing. Like, I have screenshot of this, and I have voice note, and I could record when I'm taking calls. Mr. Pierre, this politics right now is very divided and greater. It's getting very dangerous very quickly. Have a good day.
Yeah, I think sometimes we have to look at the policy, the bigger picture. When an individual, yes, caller, welcome.
Yes, Mr. Pierre.
Yeah, brother, welcome.
Mr. Pierre, to deal with the nail technicians, the barbers, and the hairdressers. Now, these people have to certify and qualify. But the kind of penalty that is meted out to these people, even them drug lads, and have them penalty them there. If they catch you illegally plotting somebody here, they go charge you $250,000 or send you in prison for 5 years.
Caller, the NDC is always hostile to people in the lower income group. The NDC is stunting the initiative of poor people to get involved in business. The NDC does not encourage local entrepreneurs. NDC must be hoping, and I think what they're hoping, that a few big companies open hairdressing salons and have these people working with them. So you could have one company, have hairdressing salons, and these individuals are workers. You call that a new inclusive businesses. That is the aim of this government. People don't understand. But when I heard this policy from the government, I wasn't surprised. Because that is what the government is not encouraging the average man to get involved in business.
That is why foreigners had to buy out.
Remember, in 2008 to 2013, NDC sold 13 pieces of property in Grenada.
Yes, I know.
They sell that even what was not theirs. And look at the government after approximately 1 year. You don't have an idea what project or what they're going to do to cause employment. In fact, they're stunting growth.
Yes.
So I'm not surprised. This is the NDC.
The good way is because for me, so I have nothing to lose.
Well, indirectly, all of us have to lose, because when you have high unemployment in a country, you're more likely to have more social decay, violence, robbery, stealing, incest, rape, sex, prostitution. That is what you're likely to have.
Well, that is what they wanted.
Well, yes, they make more money when these things take place. The NDC perhaps have some companies. You sometimes, when they start a policy, you have to try to look down the road. And right now, NDC is attractive, because they will have significant raise in pay. They're no longer conservative in traveling. They're traveling every day. So more the ministers travel, more they make money.
Yes, and they make it, and that is their money. That is that is not money for a country.
No, they're making money, so it is very attractive. And it's difficult for some ministers now. All the time we were there, we were very conservative. The Prime Minister didn't want us to travel. Now we're getting a chance to tour the world, to live in hotel, to make money. It's an attractive law.
Yeah.
It's very attractive.
Yes, let me give another person a chance.
Yes, my brother. Yes, caller. You have a call on the line? We have an opportunity to take 1 or 2 callers, and you can always call us and express yourself on this program. The laws, the actions the NDC taking, we must look at the policy. Forget for a while the individuals and look at the policy the government taking and ask yourself why they're taking it. The government knows that this issue is going to stunt new businesses. For instance, yes, caller, welcome.
Mr. Pierre,
Yes, caller.
let me tell you something. We have to talk about the monster. You know, we jealous the monster. We wish we could have been in the monster position. So we're talking about the monster without no head. We talk about the monster without no
Well,
head.
at this stage, I believe that individuals, if they have a serious problem, they should say what the problem is. This kind of general statements, I don't pay much heed to it, you know. That is when people don't know what to say. They're making these general statements.
Mr. Pierre, they want to do. You see, they see the traveling going on now, so they want to do the traveling.
It's a law. It's an attractive law. So people who used to shed tears for poor people, they said that poor people time done. That my time now.
And that is what the supporters had to see. They're rolling behind and they believe they go get anything. Not for them.
But caller, there's a lot of things going on in the country now that we're not seeing. 4 or 5 years now, you're going to come home to roost. Because the government the policy of the government is going to provide a lot of benefit for a few people. A few people in the NDC going to benefit immensely. They're going to benefit because the government opened the government coffers for some of its ministers, its members, and its friends.
But this NDC is going to benefit is not no other people.
Well, so they will have to give 1 or 2 people that leave NNP. They create laws. So,
Mr. Pierre, you have a blessed evening.
yes, thank you.
The monster what don't have the head.
Yeah, this are
for the category.
Yes, scholar. These statements are just unacceptable, wild, general statements. I think if you have a issue, you say clearly what is your issue. But the bigger picture is in our society is you don't want to see your society deteriorating. You don't want to see violence increase in your society. You don't want to see the productivity level in school dropping. You don't want that to happen. You don't want to see people start to neglect the poor. You want to hear voices still represent the interests of the ordinary man. That is important. And we must be cognizant of the fact that more than 70% of the children that exit school in Grenada cannot meet the minimum requirement. We must hold a discussion on that. We must make certain that our children get the type of education that qualifies them to be competitive on the job market. We're back with you tomorrow again between 12 and 1 for another program of On Target. Thank you very much.